Hello, I am Weirdbean, and this is a beginner's guide to Elden Ring. There are many different mechanics in Elden Ring, and I'm hoping to help give you the best edge possible. When we start the game, we are presented with 10 different class options. Which class you choose doesn't really matter, is what I would say if I was a casual. If we reveal each class's attributes, we can see that they all start with different levels, attributes, and equipment. I'm going to quickly break down what each of these things mean before we choose the optimal class. Our level represents how many points we spent on upgrading attributes. We can level up by spending runes, but each time we do, the cost of leveling up increases. For example, the Confessor starts at level 10 and requires 829 runes to level up, while the Wretch starts at level 1 and only requires 673. This means that classes with a lower level allow for further customization. Now let's take a look at what attributes do. Vigor provides HP, Mind provides FP, allowing you to cast more spells, Endurance grants more stamina, allowing you to perform more actions in combat before having to rest. It also determines how heavy your equipment can be. Strength allows you to equip heavier weapons. Dexterity allows you to wield more dexterous weapons such as bows. It also increases how fast you cast spells. Intelligence allows you to equip sorceries. It also increases the damage that they do. Faith is the same as intelligence, but affects incantations instead of sorceries. Arcane increases your chances of finding loot from bodies, and is similar to faith and intelligence in specific spells. All the starting equipment can be found in the game, so there's no need to worry about missing out on armor or weapons. Any class you choose will also be capable of casting spells, if that's how you want to build your character. The best options in my opinion are either the Bandit or the Wretch. The Bandit has the highest arcane, which is definitely a stat we want to max out as soon as possible, and the Wretch gives us a lot of room to put points into whatever attributes we want, such as arcane. Let's choose the Bandit for now. We have one last choice to make before we continue into the game. Keepsakes are an additional item that we can start with. Most notable are the Golden Seed, which will allow us to gain more healing early, the Crackpot, which can be used to craft throwing weapons, and finally probably the best keepsake, Shabriri's Woe. For now, let's just take Shabriri's Woe and head into the game. Equipment in Soulsborne games can be overwhelming, especially to new players. Let's break this down and see if we can make sense of these hieroglyphs. At the top left, we have the weapons that are available to my right hand. Currently, I have a great knife equipped. You can select up to 3 different weapons, but keep in mind that each one of these will add to your equip load, which we will talk about in a minute. If I press right on my D-pad, or the right arrow key on my keyboard, I will then switch to the next weapon. In this case, I have no other weapons, and so I switch to my fist. Here we can see the weapon type and damage types. This weapon will deal slash and pierce, meaning that the damage will be mitigated by slash and pierce negation. This is the weapon's skill and the FP cost to use it. I currently have a shield equipped, so it will try to parry instead of using the skill. If I two-hand or switch to an empty hand, I will then gain access to my dagger skill. The quick-step skill is unique in that its ability remains useful even when you've ran out of FP. Then we notice the weight of the weapon. This is an important part of the game. It is easy to miss or not understand. On the right, we can see that we have an equip load of 22, with a maximum equip load of 48. Currently, our dagger is adding to this number. There are 4 different states that we can enter based on the ratio of what we have equipped compared to our maximum load. You enter light load beneath 30%, medium load below 70%, heavy load below 100%, and overloaded after that. Stay within medium load, as anything higher will give you a penalty to your stamina regeneration. We have 5 different damage types. The weapon's damage type is compared to the enemy's negation of that type. In general, it's more efficient to use a weapon that only has one damage type, as weapons with multiple types will be negated multiple times. This is why a weapon that does 75 physical might deal more damage than a weapon that does 50 physical and 50 fire. Make sure to keep a backup weapon that has a different damage type for enemies that might have a high negation of your main weapon. On the right is guarded damage negation. This is additional damage negation that is applied while you are blocking with this weapon. This works exactly the same as a shield, but is far less effective. Guard boost is how much stamina will be consumed from blocking a hit. The lower this number is, the more stamina will be consumed while blocking. Attribute scaling shows you how effectively this weapon's damage scales with each attribute. As you upgrade your weapons, their scaling will increase as well. Here's a secret the game doesn't want you to know. While two-handing a weapon, your strength will increase by 50%, allowing you to equip weapons with higher attribute requirements, while also increasing the damage of weapons that scale with strength. This can be useful for equipping weapons you might not meet the requirements for. Equipment can have passive effects. In this case, we have Blood Loss, which is a very good one that does percentage damage. These effects are applied to enemies after hitting them enough times. Some enemies are more resistant, and in some cases immune to these passives, so you can't always rely on them. Below this we have our left hand, which works exactly the same as our right. To the right of this we have our ammunition. On the top is arrows for bows, and on the bottom is bolts for crossbows. The damage of the ammunition is added to the weapon's damage. Note that these ranged weapons have different ranges in which their damage begins to fall off. Below this is our armor, which allows us to negate damage. Usually heavier armor negates more damage, just keep your equip load beneath 70%. Armor also grants resistance, but honestly these really don't do a whole lot. They prevent things such as poison, bleed, frostbite, sleep, madness, and death. Poise helps prevent getting knocked back by an attack, which can be useful. Talismans grant unique passive effects we won't go into in this video. These are our usable items. They give us a lot of slots, but it's really not a good idea to fill this up. Try not to keep more than 4 items equipped here, as you might lose your healing flask in the middle of a fight. If you choose a class with sorceries or incantations, you will see them equipped here. In order to cast these spells, you're going to need a seal for incantations or a staff for sorceries, and enough FP to cast them. You can find these spells in your inventory, which shows you the FP cost, what attributes you need to cast them, and how many slots they use. On the right, you can see how many memory slots you have available. In order to equip new spells, you will have to rest at a site of grace. Now let's take a look at some early strategies for building a new character. When choosing what to level up, it's usually not a good idea to split your levels into different attributes. Most people will choose one, such as Arcane, which will allow your character to really scale later in the game. Endurance can be useful as it'll allow you to finally become the Drip Lord, but attributes like Vigor aren't as useful as you're gonna die anyways. Every enemy in the game has attacking patterns, and your positioning in relation to them will affect their AI. If an enemy has a really nasty ranged attack, try staying close to them so that the AI will never use that attack. Here's an example of what an endgame build should look like. My character at this point is so powerful that the game practically plays itself. I hope that this video was helpful to you, and if I missed anything, let me know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe so that I know if you want more videos like this. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Come.